It was a cold Friday night on November 3rd, 2001, when 19-year-old Lena Hart clocked out from her shift at the Bluebird Diner. She texted her mom, "Be home soon. Love you." That was the last message anyone ever received from her. Around midnight, a truck driver reported an abandoned car on Route 7, the headlights still on, engine running. Inside, Lena's purse, phone, and a half-empty cup of coffee. Outside, nothing but tire marks leading into the woods, and silence. Police called it a probable runaway, but people in the small town of Clearfield, Oregon, knew Lena. She wasn't the type to just disappear. And when her family began receiving strange voicemail messages days later, distorted breathing, a faint voice whispering her name, it became clear something darker had happened that night.
By dawn, Route 7 was crawling with flashing lights. Sheriff Dean Rourke, a man who'd served Clearfield for nearly 20 years, stood beside the empty Honda Civic, staring into the dark woods like they might whisper the truth back to him. "No sign of a struggle," he said to reporters. "No evidence of foul play." But locals weren't convinced. Lena's keys were still in the ignition, her jacket still on the passenger seat. And when a search team combed the forest that morning, they found footprints leading into the trees and stopping abruptly near a creek bed. That's where the first rumor started. Someone claimed they saw a white van parked by the road that night, engine running, no headlights. Another said they heard screaming echo from the woods. The sheriff dismissed both. He said people imagine things in the dark. But when investigators checked Lena's phone records, they found an outgoing call made at 12:17 a.m. right after she vanished. The call lasted 23 seconds. No one knows who she called. The number was never traced.
2 weeks after Lena's disappearance, the investigation had gone cold. No suspects, no witnesses, no leads. Then, on a rainy Monday morning, the Clearfield Police Department received an unmarked envelope. Inside, a VHS tape labeled only with the date 11/03/01. No return address, no fingerprints, just that single piece of outdated media and a note. She tried to run. Detectives set up an old TV in the evidence room and pressed play. The footage was grainy, black and white, time-stamped 12:14 a.m. It showed the shoulder of Route 7, Lena's car visible in the frame. A shape moved just beyond the headlights. At first, it looked like static. Then it shifted, human, stumbling as if trying to signal for help. Suddenly, the frame jolted. The camera shook violently. For 3 seconds, the lens captured something that shouldn't have been there. A second figure stepping out from the darkness, dragging Lena backward into the trees. Then, the tape cut to black. No sound, no screams, just the faint hum of old tape distortion. Sheriff Rourke ordered the footage sealed immediately, claiming it was a cruel hoax. But someone inside the department leaked a description of the tape to the local newspaper. Within hours, the town of Clearfield exploded with rumors. Some said the tape was fake, made to taunt police. Others swore it was real, that Lena's disappearance was part of a series of unsolved abductions stretching back decades all along the same stretch of Route 7. A retired deputy even stepped forward, saying the department received similar tapes in 1992, showing a different missing woman, same location, same van. Those tapes were lost after the sheriff before Rourke took office. The media started calling it the Route 7 recordings. Locals started locking their doors again. Search parties dwindled, and just when it seemed things couldn't get stranger, another package arrived. This time, it wasn't sent to the police. It was delivered directly to Lena's mother, Deborah Hart. No postage, just left on her porch in the middle of the night. Inside was a second tape, unlabeled. Deborah couldn't bring herself to watch it, so she brought it straight to the police station, but the sheriff, once again, said it was likely a prank. Against protocol, Detective Maria Klein, one of the youngest officers on the case, took the tape home that night to review it herself. At 1:03 a.m., she pressed play. The screen flickered, showing the same stretch of road, but this time the camera was moving. Someone was walking through the woods, breathing heavily as if carrying something heavy. There was a woman's voice, muffled, pleading, "Please, I just want to go home." The camera tilted down, showing a single bloodied shoe on the forest floor. Then a whisper close to the microphone. "You're next." Detective Klein froze. The breathing on the tape matched the voicemails Lena's mother had received 2 weeks earlier. It wasn't a prank. It was a warning. Detective Maria Klein didn't sleep that night. She replayed the tape again and again, freezing each frame, searching for clues the others might have missed. At timestamp 00:02:41, she noticed something faint in the lower right corner, a license plate reflection, half visible under the glare of a flashlight. The number wasn't complete, but the last 3 digits were clear: 713. The next morning, Klein drove to the station before sunrise. The sheriff wasn't there yet, so she logged into the department database. The partial plate matched a vehicle last registered in 1998 to a man named Earl Denton, a local mechanic who'd lived near Route 7 for over 30 years. Denton's name wasn't in any criminal files, but something caught her eye. His wife, Marjorie Denton, had gone missing in 1992. Case closed, no foul play suspected. Maria dug deeper and found something the sheriff had buried. Marjorie's disappearance report included a photo of her car, a rusted white van, the same kind described by witnesses in Lena Hart's case. When Maria printed the photo and placed it beside a still frame from the tape, her stomach dropped. The van was identical, same rust patch near the back door, same missing headlight. But here's the thing. Earl Denton died in 2004, 3 years after Lena disappeared. So who was driving his van that night? Maria took her findings to Sheriff Rourke. He stared at the papers in silence, then said quietly, "You're chasing ghosts, Klein. That man's been dead 20 years. But she noticed the tension in his hands, the way he avoided looking at the photographs. Something was off. When she asked for access to the old 1992 missing person archives, he hesitated. They were lost in the flood. Storage room got destroyed years ago. Later that day, Maria visited the storage facility herself. The flood story? A lie. Every file was there, dry, untouched, and inside one of those old boxes, under a stack of water-stained folders, she found a cassette tape labeled Case 7-1-3. She played it in her car. The recording began with the voice of a man, old, raspy, trembling. "She found the tapes. I told her not to dig. Now they won't stop watching." The voice coughed, then whispered something barely audible. "The woods remember everything." Maria froze. She recognized the voice. It was Sheriff Rourke, nearly 20 years younger. That night, Maria drove to Denton's old property, now abandoned and overgrown. The van was still there, half buried in weeds, windows shattered, rain pooling inside. As she stepped closer, she noticed symbols carved into the driver's door, circles, intersecting lines, like some kind of pattern. She took a photo. The flash illuminated something hanging from the rearview mirror, an old keychain, a Bluebird Diner logo. It was Lena's. Suddenly, the sound of snapping twigs behind her made her spin around. A flashlight beam cut through the trees. But it wasn't hers. Someone else was there, watching. She ran back to her car, heart pounding. The figure didn't follow, but as she started the engine, her radio turned on by itself, static. Then, a man's voice. "Detective Klein, stop looking!" She killed the engine, terrified. The radio was unplugged. The next day, when Maria returned to the station, Sheriff Rourke's office was empty. His nameplate was gone. His desk cleared. No one had seen him since the night before. And that's when the town's power went out. Every house along Route 7 lost electricity. But somehow, the police station's old security camera stayed on, long enough to record one final piece of footage. At 2:46 a.m., a white van was seen driving past the station. License plate 7-1-3. The driver's face was never identified.
Morning broke gray over Clearfield. The storm that had knocked out the power had also drowned the town in silence. Detective Klein parked outside the sheriff's house. The mailbox overflowed with unopened letters. His cruiser sat in the driveway, keys still inside. When she knocked, the door creaked open on its own. Inside, the air was heavy with the smell of damp paper and old coffee. Files littered the floor. A photo of the sheriff and a young woman, his daughter, Clara Rourke, lay cracked underfoot. Maria called out. No answer. She followed muddy boot prints through the kitchen and into the basement door, slightly ajar. Downstairs, a dim light flickered. Against the far wall, videotapes lined a makeshift shelf, dozens of them, labeled only by dates. The Route 7 recordings. She reached for one marked Clara, Final. The screen glowed to life. A home video. A little girl's birthday party. Balloons, cake, laughter. Sheriff Rourke's voice behind the camera. Smile for Dad. Then static. The frame jumped forward, now showing woods at night, the same van headlights, the same forest clearing. Clara, now older, terrified, bound to a tree. A man's shadow approached. His voice. They always said I couldn't protect you, but I can keep you safe forever. Maria froze. The voice was Rourke's. The camera dropped to the ground, and in that shaky view she saw him drag the girl toward the creek bed, the same place Lena's footprints had ended. The tape ended with one last flash of static and a whisper. She tried to run. Maria backed away from the screen, shaking. She called dispatch, but the line was dead. Her phone, no signal. Upstairs, floorboards groaned. Someone was moving. She drew her gun, stepping slowly toward the stairs. "Sheriff Rourke, it's Maria. I saw the tapes." Silence. Then a voice, low, hoarse, coming from the dark. "I told you to stop looking." He stepped into view, face pale, eyes unfocused. He looked almost sleepwalking. "You don't understand. It's not me on those tapes. It never was." "Then who?" Maria demanded. He pointed toward the basement. "The woods. It records us. Every time someone dies out there, it wants a witness, a tape." Before she could respond, a blinding white light flashed through the window, like headlights, flooding the room. Rourke screamed, clutching his head. The light flickered, and in that instant,
He was gone. The front door stood open, rain blowing in. Outside, tire tracks, fresh, leading away toward Route 7. She followed them until they vanished near the creek bed. There, half buried in the mud, lay another VHS cassette. Label, Klein, Final. She picked it up, trembling. The tape was warm, and from the woods came the faint hum of static, not from any machine, but from the air itself.
Detective Maria Klein drove back to the station in silence. Rain sheeted across her windshield, the wipers squealing like screams against glass. In her passenger seat sat the muddy VHS labeled Klein, Final. She hadn't told anyone about it. There was no one left to tell. The sheriff was gone. The deputies weren't answering calls. The town felt emptied out, like Clearfield itself had stopped breathing. Inside the station, the power still flickered. Half the lights buzzed, the rest stayed dead. The evidence room door hung open. Tapes scattered everywhere. Maria placed the cassette on the table and stared at it. Her reflection shimmered in the black plastic shell. "You want me to watch it, don't you?" she whispered. The overhead bulb popped. She took a step back. Then, without anyone touching it, the tape recorder clicked. The door of the VCR slid open on its own. Slowly, the cassette levitated just an inch and slid inside. The play button pressed itself down. The screen came alive with static. Maria saw herself, sitting in that exact room, same chair, same clothes, but the timestamp read 2 hours in the future. No, that's not possible. Future Maria on the screen looked directly at the camera. If you're watching this, then it's already started. Behind her image, shapes moved, outlines of people, faces half-formed from shadows and white noise. Future Maria continued, voice trembling. It doesn't record the dead. It records the watchers. Every person who sees the truth becomes part of it. The sound warped. The faces on the tape turned toward the lens. Dozens, maybe hundreds, all whispering at once. "Play it again. Play it again. Play it again." Maria tried to eject the tape. The button jammed. Static poured from the speakers, filling the room with a shrill, piercing tone. The walls began to hum. Papers fluttered off desks as if an unseen wind swept through. On screen, future Maria stood up, mimicking every movement the real Maria made, just a second ahead. She raised her hand. So did the image. She screamed, and the woman on the tape smiled. Then the feed changed. Now it showed the woods again, Route 7, the creek, a camera slowly turning toward a tree. Tied to that tree was Maria Klein. Her mouth was open in a silent scream, her eyes wide, frozen. The timestamp read 11:12:25, 02:47 a.m. The current time on the police wall clock read exactly 2:46 a.m. She looked up, horrified. From outside came the crunch of tires on wet gravel, a low engine hum. She ran to the window. Headlights, the van, idled outside the station. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out, face hidden by rain and darkness. He carried another VHS tape. She bolted from the station, gun drawn, shouting, "Stop! Police!" But the van lights went out. The man was gone. Only the tape remained, sitting on the ground, dry despite the downpour. She bent down to pick it up. Label: The Final Witness. State police arrived in Clearfield at dawn, but the town felt wrong. Silent, cold, humming with static. Inside the station, the TV played by itself, showing footage from the night before. Maria Klein, soaked in rain, whispering, "If you're watching this, stop the tape." Then the screen showed something worse. Lieutenant Harlow tied to a tree in the woods, even though he was standing right there in the room. A new timestamp appeared. Tomorrow, 03:12 a.m. The camera panned to a pile of VHS tapes in the mud, each labeled with the officers' names. Playback required. Lights burst. The building shook. Then everything went silent. A new tape appeared in the VCR. Clearfield, final broadcast. Before anyone touched it, every screen and radio in the station turned on at once, showing the same image: the woods, the creek, a shadow leaning closer. A voice whispered, "If you're watching, it's already watching you." Clearfield disappeared from every map after that. But sometimes, far away, an old TV will flicker on by itself and show one title, "Truth Under Tape," and the static whispers, "Play it again."
If you survived this tape, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. More truth is coming.